Okay, so I'm back with this Columbia viva-tonal grafonola, and although sometimes it looks like my videos are quite polished, I do actually make mistakes, and I made quite a bad little mistake when preparing for this particular video. And what it was is that I wanted to experiment with putting a counterweight on here, and I thought, you know what, I'll just 3D print some parts. And let's see if I can actually find those parts now. Here we go. Let's get them in camera shot. So 3D printed parts, and they're the same. It's the same part, and I just made 2 of them, and they were to go round like so. Hopefully that again is in camera shot, and I'm going to have a weight off the back, and I did do that actually. I might even have a little bit of video of that. And that was working. It wasn't perfect, but it was working. And oops, that's another little mistake there. And it was fine really until I shut the lid. And unfortunately, the record that was in the machine at the time was this Dominion. And let's find, where was it? Yeah, you can probably see there. I scratched the record. I damaged it. It still plays, but there's a nasty little sound just there that wasn't there before. And the problem was that these things here, this contraption was just too tall. It was too high, and it didn't really occur to me that putting something here would actually be too high for the lid to close. So I went back to the drawing board and redesigned it, and I came up with this version here. Now this has actually got the weight and everything attached to it. There's about 140 grams of weight there, and you can see that it's significantly shorter than the one there. So this one does actually work a bit better. There's a bit more weight because I've put more on the back, to be honest, and it's not as high, so I can close the lid whilst playing. Although for the purpose of this video, I won't be closing the lid. What I've got is I've got a little microphone down near where the horn exit is. So hopefully, if it's not too loud, that microphone will be what I use for the sound when I actually come to playing a record. So anyway, I just wanted to attach this. So let's pop this sound box off. In fact, first of all, let's find a needle. These are 0.9 millimeter. I buy them as soft tone, although some soft tones that I buy or have bought brand new have been 1 millimeter or even 1.1 millimeters in diameter. So there is some variation in what is classed as a soft tone needle. So anyway, I think I've shown this before, and this may not come out too well on camera, but if I actually put the sound box down on the X, it goes off scale. It's too much for it. So there's more than 100 grams worth of pressure coming down onto that needle. So if I pop this off and then attach the counterweight, and that's going to go on like so. In fact, there's actually a little bit of rubber padding here. Okay, and then I want to mount this as far back as I can, really get as much leverage or lever action. Everything's harder when you're on camera, I have to say, or when what you're doing is on camera. How does that look? Now this is a very simple little device. Right, that needs tightening up a bit more. Right. Now, what I also did was I cleaned this joint here, and I'll put that on camera shot if I haven't already. So that's a slight improvement because it's quite stiff. It's still not brilliant, but I have cleaned that as well. So if I now reattach the sound box, use the scales, that's down to something like 22 grams of pressure. Now, what I have found is that it does bounce around quite a lot. That's showing more like 27. I think part of the problem might be this pivot here, but I think part of the problem is just that the scales aren't very good at point weights. It's much better if the weight is spread over a sort of a wider area. Anyway, it's considerably less than it otherwise would have been. Now, there's something else I can do, and that is I can use a different sound box. Now, this is a Columbia small bore fitting, and if I use a bigger set of scales here, including the needle, that's about 170 grams. Maybe we'll swing it round and see if we can do it on the other camera. And as it happens, I've got another sound box, which is this one here. Put that there. Now this is off a portable, and put the needle in just for good measure. That's 148 grams. So the pressure that should come through to the needle should be less. It won't be the difference between the weights of the sound boxes, but it will be proportionally less. Now, just as an aside, although this is a Columbia small bore fitting sound box, you may notice it actually has Nip of the Dog on it, and you might wonder what on earth has a Columbia sound box got with the H&V Victor logo of Nip of the Dog. And the answer is that H&V and Columbia joined together to form EMI in about 1931, and after that they were able to share technology between the companies. And although I think the H&V motors won out, with certain things like sound boxes on some portables, actually the Columbia system or the Columbia fitting won out. So anyway, this is off a machine that would have been branded H&V, but is basically a Columbia sound box. Anyway, let's put that on the tone arm. Find the mini scales. Well, that's still showing 40 odd. Let's try that again. Let's try that a few times. Maybe let's try it without the needle, because this is frustrating. Because the sound box is lighter, so it really shouldn't be so much of an issue. 42 grams. Let's try the other one. So there's not a great deal in it, really. The H&V or the Nip of the Dog branded one is definitely a lighter sound box, but unfortunately, it's not showing up particularly lighter on the scale. So I think I'm still going to go with it because it should be giving less. What's the word? The counterweight should be counterweighting, or should be acting against its weight more than on the Columbia number 9, which is this one here. This is the Columbia number 9. This just goes to show that even when I've set up and prepared and stuff, sometimes things like scales just do not want to They don't want to behave themselves, and I think the scales are accurate. Anyway, we'll go with that. It's, as you can see, previously the sound box on the scales was off the scale, so it's over 100 grams worth of pressure. We're now seeing more like 30 odd. So I'm going to try playing a record now, and the record that I'm going to play is this one here. Oh Yay Yay, Harry Hudson's Melody Men on Edison Bell radio, and I think it's a reasonably loud record. And there's a whole load of experiments I could do around, well, what difference does the counterweight make to the quality of the sound? And maybe I will do those in a future video, no promises. But for the minute, I just want to see whether it wants to play the whole record. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just wind it up until it starts to click. And if you've not seen the previous video I did to this, the problem I think is that one of the springs is broken. So it's a 2-spring machine, and there we are. And the spring is supposed to be attached all the way through, and at some point it's broken. So it will wind up to an extent, and then it will just start slipping. So there we are, that's wound up. Let's open the doors, let the sound out a little bit. Going to measure it with, or measure the speed with my little speed tester here. Not sure which camera that will come out better on. It might come out better on that one, actually. Let's start it and see what it wants to do. One night in the stars, I heard this refrain so tender. This wonderful theme, the strum of guitar, brought love that I still remember. The thrill of romance then possessed me, for all through the dance she caressed me. When we said goodbye, I heard it again, as she whispered, dear, I love you. Well, that's still showing about 78 RPM. There was definitely some variation there. Some of that was just me failing to hold the meter against the target properly. And what I have noticed when doing similar tests is that when there's loud passages, the machine tends to slow down an RPM or two, and then it will speed up again. So, yeah, I mean, kind of successful. I think it demonstrates that the counterweight does actually have an effect, because it wasn't prepared to play records all the way through before. It's certainly not a perfect solution. What else I did notice, and I haven't tried this particular record before, is that at the very beginning, either the record is just a bit worn, or possibly the pressure from the needle isn't really enough to keep the needle in the groove. So that's another limitation, with just reducing the weight on the needle. Anyway, tell me what you think. Let me know in the comments. And if you've enjoyed this video, then give it a like, and also maybe watch this one too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.